Okay, so buckle up because we're about to launch headfirst into some serious UFO territory today. And listen, we're not just skimming the surface here. Your notes, your research, it screams deep dive. We're talking government secrets, credible witnesses, maybe even, alien encounters. It's all on the table.
Wow, you've really curated quite the collection here. And you're right, there's a heavy focus on that surge in sightings after 47s like Roswell. Boom. Something definitely changed.
Totally. Which brings us to, well, You flagged James Fox's interview on Joe Rogan as a must-listen, specifically his take on that post-Roswell uptick. That's where I want to start. What jumped out at you?
Well, Fox makes this connection, right, between the increase in UFO activity after World War II and, get this, our nuclear capabilities.
Okay, I'm intrigued already. Our nuclear capabilities. Why would that be so fascinating to an alien civilization, assuming, of course, that they even exist?
Right, assuming they exist. See, that's the thing. It's like this multi-layered question.
Yeah.
Because for a species advanced enough to, zip around the cosmos, just observing us, that's probably old news. They've likely been studying us for centuries, millennia even. But the ability to wipe ourselves out, that's a game changer.
So it's not about the tech itself, it's what that tech says about us. Like, we just handed ourselves this loaded gun, a cosmic loaded gun.
Exactly. And not just any gun, right? One with consequences that reach way beyond our little blue planet. Now put yourself in their shoes for a second. Imagine you're part of some super advanced civilization, maybe even responsible for keeping the galactic peace. Wouldn't you want to keep an eye on the new kid on the block who just figured out how to build a doomsday device?
It's like Cosmic Neighborhood Watch, but on a whole other level.
Precisely. And some researchers even argue that, hey, we've seen this before right here on Earth. Powerful empires. They've always kept tabs on the less advanced ones, especially when those civilizations stumbled upon, say, gunpowder.
Now that's a chilling thought. So are we talking about potential intervention here? Is it just observation or is there more to it?
That, my friend, is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it leads us perfectly to those eyewitness accounts you were so drawn to.
Right. Because sightings are one thing, but these are credible witnesses. People with no reason to make stuff up. Like that 1957 incident at Edwards Air Force Base. We're not talking about some blurry lights in the sky. This was Gordon Cooper, astronaut, pioneer of space exploration, reporting a disk landing in broad daylight.
And it wasn't just him, right? His entire film crew witnessed it, even claimed to have it all on film, which, surprise, surprise, vanished.
Vanished. More like conveniently misplaced, right? I mean, seriously, what is, with all the secrecy surrounding this topic, it's like they want us to believe, but also, really don't want us to believe.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like maybe some folks are actively trying to control the narrative here. And Cooper wasn't the only one allegedly silenced. In 1964, we have Lonnie Zamora, a police officer in Socorro, New Mexico. He has this encounter, sees a craft, but here's the kicker: he reports seeing beings, too. Childlike beings.
Hold on. Childlike beings. This wasn't just a quick glimpse from a distance. He got a close encounter. Zamora even sketched the beings for investigators, described them in detail. And the Air Force's response, basically, don't talk about the beings. What's with that? Why all the hush-hush about potential extraterrestrial life forms?
It's almost as if those kinds of encounters, the ones with beings, are considered way more sensitive, more dangerous to public perception than just your average UFO sighting.
So, are you saying they were afraid of people freaking out? Wouldn't it be the opposite? I mean, contact with advanced beings, maybe even peaceful ones, wouldn't that give people hope, not send them running for the hills?
Yeah, that's a good point. It speaks to just how complicated this whole thing is, right? Maybe it goes deeper than managing public reaction. What if it's about control? Control of the narrative, of how we see the world, of reality itself. That crumbles if extraterrestrial life is confirmed.
Okay, now we're wading into some real X-Files territory.
Yeah.
But seriously, what could be so scary that they'd go to these lengths to keep it quiet?
Those are the questions we got to keep asking. But before we go full conspiracy theory here, let's jump over to the UK, 1980 Rendlesham Forest. This one's wild, not just because of what they saw, but where they saw it in a nuclear weapons storage facility.
Not your typical UFO hangout spot. And we're not talking about some random sighting either. This was multiple military personnel, trained observers, all reporting this triangular craft near this top secret facility. What does that tell you, especially with the whole nuclear connection?
Well, it definitely raises some uneasy questions about our defenses, right? About how capable these things really are. I mean, if they can get that close to a nuclear weapons facility, what's stopping them from, anything? And remember, this was 1980, way before drones or any of that advanced tech we have now. This was something else entirely.
something potentially way more advanced than anything we could throw back at them. So we've got potential cover-ups, credible people seeing incredibly high-tech craft, and this possible link to nuclear stuff. But there's one case you highlighted that James Fox seems really fixated on the Varginha incident, 1996, Brazil. He seems to think this one could blow the whole thing wide open.
He does, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. I mean, it's got all the makings of a classic UFO story, crash landing, weird beings wandering around, and of course a massive military cleanup operation. But what makes Varginha stand out is the sheer number of people who saw stuff. And not just fleeting glimpses, we're talking dozens of people, all walks of life, reporting incredibly similar details.
And some of them were up close and personal, right? Like actually interacted with these beings.
Exactly. And get this. Their stories have stayed consistent for years. No matter what ridicule, skepticism, even threats they're sticking to their stories, that kind of unwavering certainty is hard to ignore, you know?
It really makes you wonder, what if something truly unbelievable happened in Varginha? Something that just throws everything we know out the window, and now certain people are desperate to keep a lid on it.
And what about that physical evidence James Fox keeps bringing up? Recovered materials, autopsy reports, even video footage maybe? If any of that sees the light of day, it could change everything.
It's almost like, I don't know, we're building a case here. We've got Roswell, we've got these shadowy government cover-ups, and now Brazil. But you know what really caught my eye? The whole whistleblower thing. That feels different, like a potential turning point.
Oh, you mean the new whistleblower protection law? Yeah, that's a game changer for sure.
Right. I mean, is this it? Is this what finally forces their hand? Like all those secrets about UFOs, they have to come out now, right?
It could be huge. Think about it. We're talking about people with, like, top-level security clearance. People who've seen stuff firsthand. They're not held back by fear of losing their careers or, who knows, worse.
Because let's face it, before this law, talking about UFOs, especially if you were in the know, that was a good way to ruin your life.
Exactly. But now, with legal protection, who knows what could come out? Documents, photos, heck, maybe even that physical evidence everyone keeps whispering about.
It's almost too much to hope for, you know? Like proof. Real, concrete proof that we're not alone. But even if it doesn't go that far, even if we don't get full disclosure, this new law, it means something. It means things are changing. They can't keep ignoring it.
It's a crack in the wall, for sure.
Yeah.
And cracks tend to spread. But here's the thing. Disclosure. It's not just about governments fessing up. It's about us, too. About being ready to accept some pretty wild possibilities, even if they turn everything we thought we knew upside down.
And isn't that what this whole deep dive has been about? Questioning what we think we know, being open to the unknown.
And most importantly, asking the right questions. Because let's be honest, sometimes truth is a lot stranger than fiction.
Which leads us to, well, your final point, and it's a good one. We've been so focused on these big, splashy events, Roswell, Brazil, government conspiracies. But what if we're missing something? What if those big events, they're just the tip of the iceberg?
What if, while we're busy searching for spaceships in the sky, the real contact is happening right under our noses?
Okay, now you've got my attention. Go on.
We tend to think about UFOs and alien encounters in terms of physical evidence, something we can see and touch, something scientists can analyze. But what if this phenomenon, whatever it is, what if it goes beyond our current understanding of, well, everything? What if it's something we can only grasp through intuition, through personal experience?
So you're saying it's not just about waiting for the government to tell us the truth or hoping for some undeniable piece of evidence. It's about being open to those unexplainable moments, those weird encounters, even if they're happening in our own backyards.
Exactly. Because the universe is a pretty mysterious place, and some of those mysteries might be a lot closer than we realize.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder the possibilities. Keep those minds open, keep asking those tough questions, and as always, keep looking up.